Close your eyes for a moment. Just listen to my voice. I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself stepping out of the bustling, noisy world and into a place of profound quiet. The air itself feels different here. It's cool and still, carrying the gentle, papery scent of ages. You've entered an ancient library. Before you stretches a vast hall, its high, vaulted ceilings lost in shadow. The only light comes from warm, golden lamps placed at intervals, casting long, soft-edged shadows that dance and sway. The light glints off polished wood and catches the edges of countless scrolls, neatly tucked into row upon row of honeycomb-like shelves that reach up towards the darkness above. There are no harsh electric lights here, no digital screens, just the gentle, flickering glow of oil lamps. A light that seems to understand the value of secrets and slow discovery. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the stillness settle into your bones. The only sound is the soft, rhythmic whisper of your own breathing. As you begin to walk, your footsteps make almost no noise on the smooth, worn stone floor. A floor polished by the passage of countless scholars, dreamers, and seekers who came before you. Each step is a soft pad, a quiet reverence for the knowledge held within these walls. This is a sanctuary, a place where the relentless pace of the outside world melts away, replaced by a deep sense of peace and wonder. The silence isn't empty, it's full. It's filled with the echoes of whispered thoughts, the rustle of unrolling parchment, the silent hum of concentrated minds. It's a silence that invites you to slow down, to listen not with your ears, but with your mind and your spirit. As you wander deeper into the labyrinth of shelves, you run a hand along the smooth, cool wood of a bookcase. Your fingers brush against the delicate edges of scrolls, each one a tightly coiled mystery, a capsule of thought from a distant time. Who wrote these? What stories do they tell? What secrets of the universe? What philosophies of life? What epic poems are waiting patiently to be unfurled? The air itself seems thick with possibility. In this ancient library, time doesn't march forward. It pools, it eddies. You can almost feel the presence of the scribes who painstakingly copied these texts by hand, their heads bowed in concentration under a similar lamplight. You can sense the excitement of the philosophers who discovered a new idea within these scrolls, an idea that would change the course of their thinking. This library is not just a collection of objects. It's a living repository of human consciousness, a bridge connecting you to minds across centuries. Find a small, secluded alcove. There's a comfortable wooden chair, worn smooth with use, and a small reading table with a single lamp. The light creates a perfect circle of warmth, a private world just for you and the knowledge you seek. There's a sense of safety here, of being hidden away from all the world's demands and expectations. Here, you don't have to be anyone or do anything. You can simply be. Imagine selecting a scroll, not with any particular goal in mind, but by letting your intuition guide you. The ties are made of soft leather, and they come undone with a gentle pull. As you slowly unroll the parchment, the sound is a delicate, satisfying crinkle. The ink is faded, but still clear, the script elegant and precise. It doesn't matter what the words say. The act itself is a meditation. The focus required to read the ancient text, to trace the lines of ink with your eyes, pulls your mind into the present moment. All the anxieties of your day, the to-do lists, the worries about tomorrow, they have no place here. They are like ghosts that cannot cross the threshold of this library. The quiet, the warm light, the scent of old paper and wood, all of it works together to gently soothe your nervous system. Your shoulders relax, the tension in your jaw releases, and your breath deepens, finding its natural, easy rhythm. This was the magic of libraries long ago. They weren't just for information retrieval. They were sanctuaries for the mind, places of wonder, where the act of discovery was a slow, deliberate, and deeply personal journey. In a world that moved at the speed of a horse or a sailing ship, the library was a place to go even slower, to connect with the timeless and the eternal. Let your mind drift. You don't need to focus on anything in particular. Just rest in this imaginary space. Feel the profound peace of being surrounded by the accumulated wisdom of generations. All of it sleeping, waiting. There's no pressure to learn, no test to pass. The only invitation is to be quiet, to be still, and to let the peaceful atmosphere wash over you. The lamplight flickers softly, casting a gentle, moving glow on the walls. Perhaps you hear a distant, soft sound, the turning of a page in another part of the library. A reminder that you are alone, but not lonely. Others are here, sharing in this silent communion of minds. The sense of shared, quiet purpose is comforting. Think of the contrast with our modern world, the constant notifications, the endless stream of information, the pressure to be always on, always available. This library is the antidote to that. It represents the part of ourselves that craves depth over breadth, silence over noise, and contemplation over constant action. It's a space that honors the inner world as much as the outer one. Allow yourself to feel a sense of gratitude for this place, even if it is only in your mind. Gratitude for the quiet, for the safety, for the connection to something larger and older than yourself. This feeling of peace and tranquility is yours to access whenever you need it. You can build this library in your own mind, a mental sanctuary you can retreat to at any moment. As our time in this library comes to a close, don't rush. There's no jarring bell or sudden change, just a gentle awareness that it's time to return. Take one last look around. See the towering shelves, the warm pools of light, the infinite scrolls waiting patiently. The image is one of profound and gentle order, a calm in the chaos. Carry the feeling of this place with you as you slowly begin to walk back towards the entrance. Your footsteps remain soft, your breathing slow and deep. The stillness of the library has seeped into you, and you can take it with you. The silence isn't just an absence of noise, it's a presence, a quality of being that you can cultivate in your own life. As you step back through the great doors, back into the world, notice the difference. But the noise of the world doesn't have to be jarring. You can hold the library's quiet within you like a secret treasure, a core of stillness that the outside world cannot touch. Remember this feeling. The next time you feel overwhelmed or anxious, you can close your eyes, take a deep breath, and step back into your own ancient library. It will always be there for you, a quiet harbor, a place of peace, wonder, and endless discovery. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope you feel rested and at peace. If you enjoyed this time, feel free to return to this place whenever you wish. Follow for more moments of calm and reflection. Sleep well, settle in now, and let your mind drift back, far back in time. Let's journey together to a quiet, sun-drenched workshop beside the slow, meandering Nile. The air is warm and smells of damp earth and sweet reeds. Listen closely. Can you hear the gentle rustle? That is the sound of papyrus being born. Imagine hands, patient and skilled, wading into the shallows to gather the tall green stalks of the papyrus plant. They carry the bundles back, and with practiced ease, they begin the transformation. The outer green layer is peeled away, revealing the creamy white pith inside. This pith is sliced into thin, delicate strips, almost translucent in the sunlight. Each strip is a whisper of what's to come. These strips are laid side by side, their edges just barely overlapping. Then, another layer is placed on top, running in the opposite direction, creating a fine, cross-hatched pattern. The sheets are gently pressed, the natural sap of the plant acting as its own glue, binding the fibers together. They are left to dry under the weight of smooth stones, basking in the Egyptian sun, until they become a single, unified surface, smooth, pale, and ready to hold a story, a history, a dream. Feel the faint texture under your fingertips, the slight roughness, the organic connection to the river and the earth. This is the first page of our story. Now, let's travel north, across the Great Sea, to a different time, a different place. The air here is cooler, smelling of old wood, beeswax, and lanolin. We are in a scriptorium, a room dedicated to the patient art of the written word. But here, the medium is different. It is parchment. The journey of parchment begins not with a plant, but with an animal, a sheep, a goat, or a calf. The hide is carefully selected, then soaked in a lime bath for days, loosening the hair and fat. Then comes the scraping. With a curved blade, a craftsman stretches the hide taut on a wooden frame and meticulously scrapes it again and again. The motion is steady, rhythmic, a quiet meditation. Scrape, turn, scrape. With each pass, the hide becomes thinner, smoother, more uniform. It is a slow, laborious purification, turning a raw, living material into something ethereal. Once cleaned and thinned, the hide is left to dry on the frame, pulled tight like a drumhead. It dries into a stiff, opaque sheet. Then, it's scraped one final time with a pumice stone, polishing the surface until it is as smooth as ivory, as pale as the moon. This is parchment, stronger than papyrus, more durable, able to be folded and bound into a book, a codex, a vessel for knowledge that can last 1,000 years. Touch its cool, velvety surface in your mind. It's a testament to patience, to the slow and deliberate transformation of the ordinary into the extraordinary. On these precious surfaces, whether river-reed papyrus or moon-pale parchment, the real magic begins. Picture a scribe sitting at a slanted wooden desk. A small pot of ink sits nearby, black as a starless night, made from soot, gum, and water. The scribe dips a sharpened reed pen or a carefully cut quill into the ink. There's a moment of stillness, of focus. The world outside the small, sunlit window fades away. There is only the page, the ink, and the story waiting to be told. The hand begins to move. It's not a hurried scribble, but a slow, deliberate dance across the page. Each letter is formed with care, with intention. The vertical strokes, the elegant curves, the tiny finishing serifs. It's a quiet, rhythmic process. Dip, write, pause. Dip, write, pause. The only sound is the gentle scratch of the pen on the surface, a tiny, crisp whisper. It's a sound of creation, of thought taking physical form. This isn't just writing, it's an act of preservation. The scribe is copying a text, perhaps a famous poem, a philosophical treatise, or a sacred story. The original might be old, faded, and fragile. The scribe's task is to give it new life, to ensure it's not lost to the mists of time. Every word must be perfect, a faithful echo of the one before it. The focus is immense. The mind, the eye, and the hand work in perfect harmony. The repetitive motion is calming, meditative. The world shrinks to the space of a single word, then a single line, then a single page. Imagine rows of these scribes working in quiet community, each one a guardian of knowledge, a link in a long chain stretching back through generations. They are not just copying words, they are preserving cultures, saving histories, and protecting ideas. In their quiet, focused labor, they are building a library for the future, one beautiful letter at a time. The air in the scriptorium is thick with concentration, with the shared, silent purpose of keeping the flame of knowledge alive. It's a sanctuary of slowness in a world that always rushes. And as you picture these patient hands, these focused minds, let the rhythm of their work lull you. The gentle slicing of the papyrus reeds, the steady scraping of the parchment, the soft scratch of the quill on the page. Each is a quiet, repetitive sound, a mantra of peace and focus. Let this rhythm guide your own breath. Inhale slowly as the scribe dips the pen. Exhale gently as the letters flow onto the page. Feel the stillness of that ancient room settle over you. The world outside, with its noise and its hurry, can't touch you here. Here, in this space of deliberate creation, there is only peace. There is only the steady, comforting progression of a story being carefully, lovingly brought into the world. You are safe here, wrapped in the quiet dedication of those who came before. The light begins to fade outside the window. A candle is lit, its single flame dancing and casting long, soft shadows. The scribe continues to work, the golden light glinting off the wet ink. The page glows, a beacon of human thought in the growing dark. The work is slow, but it is steady, and with every letter formed, a legacy is secured. Let this image of peaceful, focused work fill your mind. There is no rush, no deadline, just the gentle, repetitive motion, the quiet satisfaction of a task done with care and with love. Allow your body to relax, to sink deeper into comfort. Let your thoughts slow down, mirroring the deliberate pace of the scribe's hand. Each breath is a finished line. Each heartbeat is a completed word. You are creating your own peaceful story as you drift towards sleep. The page is turning. A new chapter of rest is beginning, and all is well. All is calm. All is quiet. The day's work in the scriptorium is ending. The ink pots are capped. The quills are cleaned and set aside. The finished pages are stacked carefully, ready for the illuminator's touch tomorrow, or perhaps for the binder who will stitch them together. The room settles into a deeper silence. The stories are safe for the night, sleeping on their pages, waiting for the morning light. And just as they rest, you too can rest. Let go of the day. Let go of all your thoughts. There is nothing to do now but to drift, to float on the quiet river of sleep, carried gently into the peaceful dark. Good night. Sleep well. The soft morning light filters through the high windows of the great library, casting long, gentle shadows across rows upon rows of scrolls. Dust motes dance in the sunbeams, tiny golden stars in a silent universe of knowledge. Here, amidst the quiet hum of centuries, a figure moves with practiced grace. This is the keeper of the scrolls, the librarian. His day begins not with the clang of a bell or the call of a rooster, but with the subtle shift of light across the papyrus. He runs a hand over a smooth wooden cylinder, the end of a scroll containing epic poems he has read 100 times. Each scroll is a friend, a voice from the past whispering tales of heroes, gods, and forgotten kingdoms. His fingers, though aged, are nimble and sure. They know the feel of every material, from the finest vellum to the roughest clay tablet. He carefully checks the ties, ensuring each scroll is snug and secure in its cubbyhole, protected from the ravages of time and humidity. Visitors begin to trickle in as the sun climbs higher. A young scholar, his brow furrowed with a difficult question about philosophy. A merchant seeking maps of distant lands for a new trade route. A poet searching for inspiration in the verses of old masters. The librarian greets each one with a nod and a quiet smile. He doesn't need to ask what they seek. He reads it in their eyes, in the way they carry themselves. His role is not just to guard the knowledge, but to guide others to it. He walks them through the labyrinthine aisles, his soft-soled sandals making no sound on the stone floor. He points to a section dedicated to astronomy, where charts map the movements of the stars. He pulls out a scroll detailing the medicinal properties of herbs for a healer in training. His knowledge is a vast, interconnected web, and he is the patient spider at its center, sensing the vibrations of every query. There is a deep, quiet satisfaction in connecting a curious mind with the perfect piece of wisdom, watching the spark of understanding light up their face. This is his purpose, his silent, dedicated service to the endless river of human thought. The day unfolds in a gentle rhythm of tasks. A new shipment of scrolls arrives from a faraway city, carefully packed in wooden crates. The librarian unpacks them with the reverence of a priest handling sacred relics. He meticulously catalogs each one, inscribing its title, author, and subject onto a small clay tag. His script is a work of art in itself, precise and elegant. This is not mere record-keeping. It is the act of weaving a new thread into the grand tapestry of the library's collection. He spends a portion of his afternoon in the repair room, a small chamber filled with the scent of glue and aging paper. A beloved scroll of history has a tear near its edge. With delicate tools, a fine needle, a thin strip of papyrus, and a special adhesive made from wheat starch, he mends the damage. It's a slow, meditative process, a conversation with the past. As he works, he imagines the scribe who first wrote these words, the world they lived in, the stories they felt were important enough to preserve. He is not just fixing a tear. He is ensuring that a voice from 1,000 years ago can still be heard. Sometimes, a child wanders in, dragged along by a parent, but drawn to the sheer scale of the place. The librarian will often pause his work to show them a scroll with beautiful illustrations, vibrant depictions of mythical beasts, or detailed drawings of exotic plants. He watches their eyes widen with wonder and knows that a seed has been planted. The love of learning, the respect for stories, is a flame that must be passed from one generation to the next. As the afternoon wanes, the light softens once more, turning from gold to a warm, rosy amber. The library grows quieter as visitors depart, their minds filled with new ideas and information. The librarian takes a final walk through the aisles, his own personal pilgrimage. He straightens a misplaced scroll, brushes a stray bit of dust from a shelf, and ensures everything is in its proper place for the night. The silence that descends is not empty, it is full. It is the silence of sleeping stories, of dormant knowledge, waiting for the next curious mind. He stands in the center of the great hall, breathing in the scent of papyrus and ink. He feels the weight and wisdom of the ages surrounding him, a comforting, immense presence. This library is more than a building. It is a living entity, and he is its faithful guardian. He extinguishes the oil lamps, one by one, plunging the aisles into a soft, deep darkness. The moonlight now takes over, painting silver stripes across the floor. His work for the day is done. But for a librarian, the work is never truly over. The stories live on, in the scrolls, in the minds of those who read them, and in the quiet heart of the man who cares for them. He closes the heavy doors, the sound echoing softly in the night, ready to welcome the light and the seekers of knowledge once more on the morrow. Thank you for joining this quiet journey. If you found a moment of peace here, consider subscribing for more reflective stories. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a grand, sun-drenched courtyard. The air hums with the quiet murmur of voices, the rustle of robes, the soft scuff of sandals on stone. This is a place of learning, a sanctuary of knowledge from a time long past. Imagine scholars with furrowed brows, deep in thought, their fingers tracing lines of text on ancient scrolls. See young students, their eyes wide with curiosity and ambition, hurrying to their lessons. Picture officials and dignitaries, powerful men of their time, entering these hallowed halls, seeking wisdom to govern cities and shape empires. Now, open your eyes. What you just imagined was a scene that has played out countless times throughout history. In places like the Library of Alexandria, the House of Wisdom in Baghdad, or the great monastic libraries of medieval Europe, these were the epicenters of the known world's knowledge. But as we stand in the shadow of these magnificent institutions, a crucial question arises. Who was actually allowed inside? Who had the keys to this vast kingdom of learning? For most of human history, access to knowledge was not a right, but a privilege. It was a closely guarded treasure, available only to a select few. The ability to read and write was in itself a rare skill, often reserved for the clergy, the nobility, and a small class of professional scribes and scholars. Think about it. If you couldn't read, the greatest library in the world was just a room full of decorated objects. The gatekeepers of knowledge were, first and foremost, the gatekeepers of literacy. In ancient societies, like Egypt or Mesopotamia, literacy was the domain of scribes. These were highly trained professionals who held immense power. They recorded laws, managed temple economies, and documented the deeds of kings. To be a scribe was to be at the heart of the state, privy to its secrets, and essential to its functioning. Knowledge was power, and that power was concentrated in the hands of a very small, elite group. The average farmer, artisan, or soldier lived their entire lives without ever reading a single word. Their world was one of oral tradition, of stories and instructions passed down from generation to generation by word of mouth. The Greeks and Romans expanded the circle of literacy somewhat, especially among the upper classes. A proper education for a young man of a wealthy family would include rhetoric, philosophy, and literature. Great thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, and Cicero not only produced profound works, but also established schools and academies. Yet, even here, access was largely determined by wealth and social status. The vast majority of the population, including women and slaves, were excluded. The great libraries were magnificent public monuments, but their public was a very specific, privileged slice of society. Then came the Middle Ages in Europe. After the fall of the Roman Empire, much of the classical knowledge was lost or fragmented. The flickering flame of learning was kept alive in monasteries. Monks painstakingly copied manuscripts by hand, preserving not just religious texts, but also works of science, history, and philosophy from the ancient world. These monastic libraries were fortresses of knowledge in a turbulent age. But they were also intensely private spaces. They were for the use of the monastic community, not the general populace. The knowledge within was seen as a sacred trust, something to be protected and contemplated, not necessarily disseminated widely. The very act of creating a book was an incredible investment of time and resources. They were works of art, luxury items that only the very wealthy, like kings or high-ranking church officials, could afford to commission. A personal library was the ultimate status symbol, a sign of immense wealth and intellectual sophistication. When only a few can read the laws, they are the ones who interpret them. The worldview of the majority was shaped, curated, and delivered by the literate minority. But the seeds of change were being sown. The establishment of the first universities in the 11th and 12th centuries, in places like Bologna, Paris, and Oxford, created new centers of learning outside the direct control of the monasteries. They drew students from across Europe, creating a more dynamic and argumentative intellectual culture. While still largely elite, these universities began to broaden the community of scholars and standardize curricula. Knowledge was beginning to be seen less as a static treasure to be guarded and more as a field of inquiry to be expanded. The real revolution, however, came in the mid-15th century. A goldsmith from Mainz, Germany, named Johannes Gutenberg, perfected a system of movable type printing. This single invention changed the world forever. Suddenly, books could be produced quickly, cheaply, and in large numbers. The cost of a printed book was a fraction of a hand-copied manuscript. For the first time in history, knowledge had the potential to break free from the confines of the monastery and the palace. This created a shared cultural space, a republic of letters, where ideas could be debated and disseminated on an unprecedented scale. Governments and religious authorities quickly recognized the subversive power of the printed word and tried to control it through licensing, indexes of forbidden books, and persecution of printers and authors. Access to education, especially higher education, remained largely the privilege of men of a certain class and wealth. But the dam had broken. The flow of information could be slowed, it could be diverted, but it could no longer be stopped. The 19th and 20th centuries saw the rise of another powerful force, public education and the public library. Driven by democratic ideals and the needs of an industrializing economy, governments began to establish schools that were free and compulsory for all children. The idea that every citizen had a right to a basic education, including the ability to read and write, was a radical departure from the past. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate turned philanthropist, famously funded the creation of over 2,500 public libraries across the English-speaking world. His vision was that any person, regardless of their background, could walk into one of these buildings and have free access to the world's knowledge. They were palaces for the people. These institutions transformed communities. They were gateways to opportunity, places for self-improvement, and sanctuaries for the curious. For millions, the public library was their university. And now, we stand on the cusp of, or perhaps in the middle of, the next great information revolution. the digital age. The internet has put the largest library in human history into the palm of our hands. With a few clicks, we can access articles, books, videos, and datasets from all over the world. The barriers of physical distance and production costs have all but vanished. The potential for universal access to knowledge is greater than ever before, but the old questions remain, just in a new form. Who has access to this digital world? The digital divide, the gap between those with and without reliable internet access and the skills to use it, is real. And in an ocean of information, how do we find what is true and reliable? We've moved from an era of information scarcity to one of information overload. The new gatekeepers are not scribes or librarians, but search engine algorithms, social media platforms, and the companies that control them. The ability to critically evaluate sources, to distinguish fact from misinformation, has become the new literacy. Learning has always shaped society. From the scribes who enabled the first empires, to the monks who preserved classical wisdom, to the printers who fueled revolutions, to the librarians who empowered citizens. The story of who gets to learn is the story of who gets to participate in building the future. As we navigate this new digital landscape, the challenge for us is the same one that has echoed through the ages. How do we ensure that the vast and wonderful treasure of human knowledge is not a privilege for the few, but a right for all? How do we build libraries, whether of stone or of silicon, with doors that are truly open? Thank you for joining me on this journey through time. If you found this story of knowledge and power interesting, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the ideas that shape our world. See you next time. Imagine, for a moment, a world bathed in the golden light of antiquity. A world where knowledge was the most precious currency, and the places that housed it were monuments to human ambition and intellect. Let's travel back in time, not with a machine, but with our minds, to the shores of the Mediterranean, to a city that was the jewel of the ancient world, Alexandria. Here, under the warm Egyptian sun, stood a structure that was more than just a building. It was the beating heart of the scholarly world, a beacon for the brightest minds of the age. This was the great library of Alexandria. Picture yourself walking through its grand entrance. The air inside is cool, a welcome respite from the bustling city outside. It smells of aged papyrus, cedar wood shelves, and the faint, sweet scent of ink. The silence here is not empty. It's alive. It's filled with the quiet rustle of scrolls being unfurled, the soft footsteps of scholars treading on marble floors, and the low hum of minds deep in thought. Sunlight streams through high colonnades, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air, each one a tiny world unto itself. This place wasn't just big, it was colossal, an intellectual ecosystem teeming with scrolls. Historians estimate it held hundreds of thousands of documents. Think about that. Every ship that docked in Alexandria's busy port was searched. If a scroll was found that the library didn't possess, it was seized, copied by professional scribes, and the copy was returned to its owner. The original stayed here in this sanctuary of knowledge. This wasn't just a repository. It was a university, a research institute, and a think tank all rolled into one. The greatest thinkers lived and worked here. Astronomers who mapped the stars, mathematicians who laid the foundations of geometry, poets who crafted epics. They debated, they collaborated, they pushed the boundaries of human understanding. The very concept of a library as a dynamic, living center of learning, was born within these walls. Standing here, in this imagined space, you can almost feel the weight of all that accumulated wisdom, the sheer intellectual power concentrated in one place. It was a testament to the belief that knowledge was worth preserving, worth gathering, and worth sharing. Now, let our journey continue across the Aegean Sea to the kingdom of Pergamum in what is now modern-day Turkey. Nestled atop a wind-swept acropolis with a breathtaking view of the surrounding landscape, stood another legendary library, a fierce rival to Alexandria's. The Library of Pergamum was a statement of power and cultural pride. The story goes that the Ptolemies of Egypt, jealous of Pergamum's rising intellectual stature, placed an embargo on papyrus exports. They thought that by cutting off the supply of writing material, they could cripple their rival's growth. They perfected the art of treating animal skins to create a smooth, durable, and reusable writing surface. They called it pergaminos, which we now know as parchment. This innovation didn't just solve a supply problem, it changed the future of the written word, eventually leading to the codex, the ancestor of the modern book. Imagine walking through the halls of the Pergamene library. It was smaller than Alexandria's, perhaps holding around 200,000 scrolls, but it was no less magnificent. The architecture was designed to impress, with elegant reading rooms and statues of great thinkers lining the halls. The atmosphere here might have felt a little different, perhaps more focused, more driven by the spirit of competition that fueled its very existence. They were not just collecting scrolls, they were curating a world-class collection to rival the greatest on earth. The scholars here would have been acutely aware of the intellectual race they were in. Each new acquisition, each new discovery, a victory against their Egyptian counterparts. Both of these great libraries were more than just collections of texts. They were symbols of a profound shift in human civilization. They represented the understanding that our progress is built upon the knowledge of those who came before us. The idea that we could systematically gather, organize, and study the accumulated wisdom of humanity was revolutionary. These weren't just buildings, they were promises. A promise that ideas could outlive their creators, that stories could transcend borders, and that the quest for understanding was a journey without end. Sadly, we know how these stories end. The great libraries of Alexandria and Pergamum are gone, lost to the tides of history. Their downfall wasn't a single cataclysmic event, but a slow, painful decline through fires, political turmoil, and neglect. The loss is staggering, almost impossible to comprehend. How many philosophical treatises, epic poems, scientific breakthroughs, and historical records vanished forever? What secrets of the ancient world were lost in the smoke and dust? It's a question that has haunted scholars for centuries. But the legacy of these libraries is not one of loss alone. Their spirit endures. It lives on in every local library, every grand national archive, every university, and even in the vast, interconnected digital network we navigate today. The dream of Alexandria, the ambition of Pergamo, it's the same dream that fuels our modern quest for knowledge. When you walk into a library today, take a moment, breathe in that unique scent of paper and ink. Listen to the quiet hum of concentration. You are stepping into a tradition that stretches back thousands of years. You are in a sacred space, a direct descendant of those magnificent halls on the shores of the Mediterranean and atop the Acropolis of Pergamum. The very act of opening a book, or scrolling through a digital text connects you to that long line of scholars, dreamers, and thinkers. The technology has changed, from clay tablets to papyrus scrolls, from parchment codices to digital files. But the fundamental human desire remains the same: the thirst to know, to understand, to connect with other minds across the vastness of time and space. The great libraries of the ancient world may be gone, but the fire they lit, the fire of curiosity and the pursuit of knowledge, continues to burn brightly in all of us. They taught us that building a library is an act of hope, a belief in the future, and a tribute to the enduring power of the human mind. And that is a legacy that can never be truly lost. Thanks for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more explorations into history's most fascinating stories. See you next time. Have you ever stood in an old library and felt a quiet, almost sacred hush? It's more than just the absence of noise. It's the weight of history, the collective breath of generations held within the pages of countless books. But have you also ever felt a faint, underlying tremor of anxiety in that silence? A quiet fear. It's the fear of loss. The fear that all this knowledge, all these stories and discoveries could simply vanish. Throughout history, this fear has been a constant, silent companion to human progress. It's the fear of the sudden, roaring blaze, like the one that consumed the great library of Alexandria, turning centuries of scholarship into ash and smoke. Imagine scrolls containing irreplaceable works of philosophy, science, and literature, gone in an instant. It's the fear of the marching boots of war, where cultural treasures become casualties. Libraries are looted, and intellectual centers are deliberately destroyed, erasing a people's identity along with their books. And it's the slow, creeping fear of decay, the patient nibbling of insects, the silent spread of mold in damp, forgotten corners, the slow fading of ink on brittle parchment. Fire, war, and time, the three great enemies of knowledge. Before the printing press, before digital clouds and hard drives, knowledge was an incredibly fragile thing. Each book was a masterpiece of labor, hand-copied by scribes over months, even years. A single book could represent a lifetime of work. Losing one wasn't like losing a file. It was like losing a person, a unique voice silenced forever. This fragility created a profound sense of urgency, a desperate need to protect these precious vessels of thought. So, how did our ancestors fight back against this inevitable tide of destruction? They became guardians, archivists, and smugglers of wisdom. In medieval monasteries, monks didn't just pray. They undertook the Herculean task of copying texts. In dimly lit scriptoriums, they hunched over desks, their quills scratching away, preserving the works of ancient Greece and Rome alongside religious scriptures. They saw this not just as a duty, but as a sacred mission. Each letter formed was an act of defiance against the darkness of forgetting. They created beautiful, illuminated manuscripts, not just to be read, but to be revered, to signal that the knowledge within was priceless. Think of the Nestorian stele in China, a massive limestone block carved in the 8th century. It recorded the history of a Christian community in a foreign land. When that community faced persecution, the stele was buried, hidden from those who would destroy it. For nearly 800 years, it lay silent beneath the earth, a time capsule of belief and history, waiting for a future generation to unearth its story. It was a conscious act of preservation, a bet on the future, or consider the Dead Sea Scrolls, tucked away in clay jars and hidden in caves near the Dead Sea around the time of Christ. These ancient texts were protected from the Roman armies and the ravages of time. The dry, stable climate of the Judean desert was the perfect hiding place. The people who hid them knew their world was on the brink of collapse. They couldn't save their temple or their city, but they could try to save their words, their laws, and their identity. And for 2,000 years, their secret held. This impulse to save knowledge isn't just an ancient one. During the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, as bombs fell on Madrid, a brave group of librarians and volunteers formed the Junta de Incautación, a committee to save cultural treasures. They risked their lives, rushing into shelled buildings to rescue books from libraries, archives, and private collections. They packed them into crates and moved them to safer locations, creating a mobile library system to keep the flame of learning alive, even in the midst of war. They understood that when the fighting stopped, rebuilding society would require not just bricks and mortar, but ideas and history. And then came the digital age, which promised a new kind of immortality. We could scan everything, upload it to the cloud, and create infinite copies. The fear of a single fire destroying all our knowledge seemed to recede. But has it really? We've traded the threat of fire and mold for new, more insidious vulnerabilities, digital decay or bit rot, where files silently corrupt over time. The obsolescence of formats. Can you still play a floppy disk or a cassette tape? Servers can fail, data centers can be hacked, and entire digital libraries can be wiped out with a few keystrokes or a solar flare. A single forgotten password can lock away a lifetime of information more securely than any ancient tomb. Our digital world is, in its own way, just as fragile as the parchment of old. We are creating more information than ever before in human history, but we are also at risk of losing it more quickly and more completely. The Library of Alexandria might have burned, but its memory and influence lingered because scholars had read its books and carried its ideas with them. If a massive data cloud is wiped out tomorrow, what remains? The loss could be absolute. This brings us to a new generation of guardians, people like the archivists at the Internet Archive, who are trying to create a complete backup of the entire Internet, or the scientists working on projects like the Arctic World Archive, storing digital data on durable microfilm in a decommissioned coal mine in Svalbard, Norway, deep within the permafrost, hoping it will last for 1,000 years. There are even projects exploring encoding information into synthetic DNA, potentially the most durable storage medium known to man, capable of preserving data for millennia. The fight continues. The form of the threat changes from fire to file corruption, from invading armies to cyber attacks, but the fundamental struggle remains the same. It is the struggle of memory against forgetting, of order against chaos, of civilization against the void. The next time you walk into a library, or even just scroll through a digital archive online, take a moment, feel the weight of that quiet, continuous effort. You are standing in a sanctuary built not of stone, but of human determination. Every book on the shelf, every file on the server is a victory. It's a testament to the countless, often anonymous, guardians throughout history who believed that knowledge was worth saving, that the stories and ideas of the past were a gift to the future, a gift to us, and now, in our own small ways, we are all guardians of that legacy. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the quiet war for knowledge. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing and sharing. Every conversation helps keep these important histories alive. The world outside has hushed, trading its daytime roar for a soft, velvet whisper. Here, inside, another kind of quiet reigns, a stillness so profound it feels sacred. The great library is almost empty, a vast kingdom of stories settling down for the night. The moon, a shy sliver in the inky sky, offers little light, leaving the task to the rows of oil lamps that dot the long, polished tables. Each lamp casts a warm, golden halo, a small sun in this universe of paper and ink. Their light dances on the spines of countless books, glinting off the gold leaf titles, making them seem to breathe in the tranquil air. The air itself is thick with the scent of aged paper, leather, and wood polisher perfume unique to places like this. A fragrance of time and accumulated wisdom. The silence isn't empty. It's filled with the faint, almost imperceptible rustle of turning pages from the few other souls scattered throughout this cavernous space. They are fellow night owls, pilgrims seeking solace or knowledge in the late hours. Each is in their own world, yet we are all connected by the shared peace of this moment. The soft glow of the lamps illuminates their focused faces, their hands resting on open books, as if in quiet conversation with the authors. The pages lie still, resting after a day of being turned, read, and absorbed. They are like sleeping minds, their ink-black words holding dreams, histories, and entire universes in suspended animation. I walk slowly down an aisle, my footsteps swallowed by the thick carpet. The towering shelves rise on either side like silent, ancient trees in a forest of thought. My fingers trail along the spines, feeling the different textures, the smooth, glossy covers of new arrivals, the worn fabric feel of classics that have been loved by many hands before mine. Each book is a doorway, a potential journey waiting to be taken. There's a unique beauty to this stillness, a sense of being on the threshold of something magical. It's as if the very knowledge contained within these walls is dreaming. The equations, the poems, the historical accounts, they all seem to be humming a low, silent tune, a lullaby for the intellect. The shadows stretch long and deep, playing tricks on the eyes, turning familiar statues of thinkers and poets into watchful guardians of this sanctuary. In the soft lamplight, the carved wooden lions at the end of the bookcases seem to be dozing, their manes bathed in a gentle amber glow. I find an empty chair at a long table, the wood cool and smooth beneath my hands. An abandoned book lies open, its pages slightly curled, as if the previous reader left in a hurry, pulled away by the waking world. I can almost feel the echo of their presence, their curiosity lingering in the air. The quiet here is a living thing. It's not the absence of sound, but the presence of peace. It allows you to hear the beating of your own heart, the flow of your own thoughts. The usual chaos of the mind begins to settle, the frantic to-do lists and worries fading into the background, replaced by a gentle curiosity. What stories are held in the highest shelves, the ones just out of reach? What forgotten knowledge lies dormant in the dusty corners of the archives? Tonight, they are all just sleeping, waiting for a hand to reach out, for a pair of eyes to awaken them. The lamplight flickers, and for a moment, the entire hall seems to inhale and exhale with me. It's a shared breath with the generations of scholars, dreamers, and wanderers who have sat in these same chairs. under the gaze of these same silent shelves. This is more than just a building full of books. It's a repository of human experience, a testament to our relentless desire to understand, to create, and to remember. And at night, under the soft glow of the lamps, when the world outside is asleep, the library feels like the keeper of all our collective dreams. The quiet isn't just an absence of noise, it's a presence. It's the gentle weight of millions of pages, billions of words, all resting together, each one a potential spark, waiting for the dawn of a new reader. As I settle in, the silence deepens, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. The subtle creak of the old building, the distant sigh of the heating system, these are the only interruptions. They don't break the peace, they become part of its rhythm. Here, time seems to slow down. The urgent tick-tock of the clock is replaced by the slow, steady turning of a page. The night stretches ahead, a quiet expanse of possibility. In the stillness, you can almost hear the whispers of the past, the faint echoes of every story ever told within these walls. The few other readers are like lighthouses in the distance, their personal pools of light signaling a shared purpose in this vast, dark ocean of knowledge. We are solitary sailors, yet we are not alone. We are united by our love for this quiet, sacred space. The library at night is a world unto itself, a place where the clamor of life fades away, leaving only the pure, beautiful essence of human thought, resting peacefully under the watchful eyes of the moon and the warm glow of the lamps. It's a place to get lost, and in doing so, to find a deeper, quieter part of yourself. And for now, I will simply sit and listen to the beautiful, profound silence of knowledge sleeping. Thank you for joining me in this quiet moment. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more peaceful journeys. Have you ever imagined what it must have been like to walk into the great library of Alexandria, to stand amidst towering shelves, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of scrolls, each one a universe of thought, a window into a mind from long ago? Imagine the quiet rustle of papyrus, the faint scent of ink and aged parchment, the low murmur of scholars debating philosophies that would shape the world for millennia. Each scroll was a testament to human curiosity, a piece of a grand puzzle we've been trying to solve since we first looked up at the stars and wondered. They were vessels of knowledge, carrying stories, scientific discoveries, and the deepest questions of existence across the silent waters of time. That library, a beacon of the ancient world, held the collective wisdom of civilizations. It wasn't just a building filled with books. It was an idea that knowledge is precious, that it deserves to be preserved, shared, and built upon. Even though the original library is lost to history, its spirit endures. It lives on in every library, big or small, that stands today. From the grand, echoing halls of national libraries to the cozy or sunlit corner of your local bookshop, the same fundamental purpose remains: to gather human experience and pass it on. And now, think about the library you hold in your hand or that sits on your desk. This device, this small, glowing rectangle, is a library beyond the wildest dreams of any Alexandrian scholar. It connects you to a network of information so vast it's almost incomprehensible. Every book ever written, every song ever composed, every scientific paper ever published, every fleeting thought shared by billions of people, it's all there. The library is no longer a single place. It's everywhere. It's a living, breathing, constantly expanding entity. The quiet hum of the ancient library has become the silent, invisible pulse of data circling the globe. We carry this infinite library with us, a constant companion in our daily lives. But sometimes the sheer volume can be overwhelming. The endless scroll, the constant notifications, the pressure to know everything, see everything, be everything. It can feel less like a peaceful sanctuary and more like a roaring, chaotic ocean. In these moments, it's important to remember the original spirit of the library. It was a place of quiet contemplation, of slow, deliberate learning, a place to retreat from the noise of the world and connect with the steady, quiet stream of human wisdom. So tonight, as we prepare for rest, let's try to find that quiet space within our own minds. Let's gently close the doors to the bustling, noisy library of the day. The emails can wait. The news will still be there tomorrow. The endless feeds can be silenced. It's time to curate our own internal library for the night, filled only with thoughts that bring peace, calm, and restoration. Imagine yourself walking through the quiet halls of your mind, tidying up the shelves. Take the worries of the day, the anxieties about tomorrow, and gently place them on a high shelf marked for later. You can look at them again in the morning with a fresh perspective and renewed energy. For now, they can rest just as you will. Let your attention drift away from the complexities and the demands. Instead, focus on the simple, quiet truths, the feeling of the soft blanket around you, the gentle weight of your body sinking into the mattress, the steady, rhythmic cadence of your own breath, in and out. Each breath is a quiet page turning, moving you from the active chapter of the day to the peaceful interlude of the night. This is your personal sanctuary, a space you can return to whenever you need it, a place of profound stillness. Think of a single, happy memory. It doesn't have to be a monumental event. Maybe it's the feeling of warm sun on your skin on a perfect afternoon, the taste of your favorite meal prepared with care, the sound of a loved one's laughter, a pure and simple joy. Let that memory be the only book you open tonight. Read its pages slowly. Savor the details, the colors, the sounds, the feelings. Let the warmth of that memory spread through you like a gentle golden light, starting from your chest and extending all the way to your fingertips and your toes. This light is calm, it is safe, it is peaceful. As you hold on to this feeling, notice how your body responds. Your shoulders may soften and drop away from your ears. The tiny muscles around your eyes might relax. The tension in your jaw may release. Your breathing becomes slower, deeper. You are letting go. You are giving yourself permission to rest completely. The world outside will continue on its busy course, but here, in this moment, your only task is to be still, to surrender to the gentle pull of sleep. Human knowledge continues to grow, an ever-expanding river of ideas and discoveries. Every day, we add new pages, new chapters to this grand, collective story. We solve new problems, ask new questions, and see the world in new ways. It's a beautiful, incredible process to be a part of. But for the story to continue, the storytellers must rest. We must recharge our minds and bodies so we can wake up ready to contribute our own unique verse to the epic poem of humanity. Sleep is not an absence of activity. It is a different kind of activity. It is the quiet, essential work of restoration. While you sleep, your mind is like a diligent librarian, sorting through the experiences of the day. It files away important memories, discards the trivial, and makes connections you weren't even aware of. It's a process of cleaning, organizing, and preparing the library for a new day of learning and discovery. By embracing sleep, you are honoring this vital process. You are allowing your mind the space it needs to do its most important work. So let the last thoughts of the day be gentle and hopeful. Let go of any lingering frustrations or regrets. The day is done. You did your best, and that is more than enough. Now, a new state of being awaits you, a state of deep, restorative peace. Imagine the boundless library of the universe, with all its galaxies and nebulae, and find your own quiet, comfortable corner within it. You are a part of this magnificent, sprawling story, and your rest is just as important as your waking hours. The stream of knowledge will flow on, carrying us all toward a future we can only imagine. But for tonight, we step out of the current. We find a quiet eddy, a peaceful shore, where we can simply be. Trust that the tide will be there to carry you forward when the sun rises again. For now, let the gentle waves of drowsiness rock you slowly, softly. Let the noise of the world fade into a distant hum, and then into complete silence. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to figure out. There is only the soft, inviting darkness and the promise of a peaceful, uninterrupted rest. Sleep well, fade into your dreams, and know that you are safe, you are supported, and you are at peace. Good night.